Good evening and welcome to RFD-TV Live. I'm News Director Mark Oppold. Tonight, a pleasure to welcome back our friends from Monty's Plant Food and their natural soil enhancement programs. We're going to be learning a lot more about that even though we are in the cold part of the season, not too early to start talking about these. In fact, last fall would not have been too early, as you'll see later in our program. Let me introduce our studio guest as we start our program. Doug Hobbs, Monty's Territory Manager for Central Region, and Joe Dedman, one of Monty's certified plant advisors. Actually, welcome back to both of you. Good to have you back to RFD-TV. Hope you had a great holiday season.
And very good.
Your first program back with us this new year. Let's, even though we have you've been on before, both veterans here of RFD-TV Live now. Let's start with you, Doug. Give our viewers background. Your home state is Indiana, right?
That's right. I'm born and raised in Madison, Indiana. Grew up helping a little family on the farm there and working around the farm. Went to school at Indiana State, and then after college, actually worked in the ag industry and taught high school a little bit as well, but worked in retail and wholesale ag before coming to Monty's and farmed a little bit on the side as well.
And your year really never stops. I mean, I was talking before, just coming on the air just now, and he said, you know, what are you guys doing here this next week and this week? And you just rattled off farmer meetings, dealer meetings, going to some shows, obviously, so it always goes on.
It never ends, that's right.
Yeah. Joe, I think you have a new title. I said you were one of the certified crop advisors, but a vice president of agronomy, yes. So I need to get that right.
Yeah, I gained that title last year after our last show.
How about that?
Yeah, it was very good. I appreciate that.
Tell us about your background.
I grew up in around Shelbyville, Kentucky. Grew up on a dairy farm. So I've had roots on the dairy and did a lot of the farming things as well as farmers do today. And then I went to work for a local co-op chain, which is Southern States Cooperative here in the Southeast. And I worked for them about 17 years. Then I went to work for Monty's, which I've been with them now around 7 years plus. And I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've enjoyed working with farmers and dealers and different areas all across the nation. So it's been very enjoyable for me.
Well, I can tell you that Heather Spillman, our producer, and myself sitting down with you and just listening to your passion, talking about really what producers need to be realizing about soil condition and soil health.
Yes.
We're sure glad that you're here to help move that along a little bit.
Yes.
It's a long process, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Well, tonight, in fact, Monty's Plant Food Company offering a natural soil enhancement and plant fertility program using innovative humic technology. You're going to hear that word quite a bit early in our program, humic, to maximize a farmer's yield. Here's a short video, in fact, to learn more about Monty's Humics.
Monty's liquid carbon offers a unique option for farmers by putting the power of humics in your hands without changing much of what you're already doing. Humics are the buzzword in modern agriculture, and while everyone is talking about humics, few actually understand them. Before we can adequately tell you about our soil conditioner, we probably need to lay some groundwork, so let's look first at what humics are and why they even matter, beginning with a few of the benefits that humics provide, including aiding germination, increasing nutrient efficiency, promoting root development, and boosting soil condition. You no doubt understand the value of composting. Added composted material is effective at breaking up clay soil, retaining moisture, stimulating microbial growth, improving nutrient exchange, and helping water percolate through the soil profile. Humic is what makes all of that possible. Think of it as compost active ingredient. Humic, or humus, is formed naturally as the plants break down and decay. In its natural state, these humic molecules are bound to other substances, things like clay particles, sand, water, and various elements. People try to process the beneficial substances like humics and fulvics, but this is where most companies stop. With Monty's, though, our proprietary process strips away almost all of these particles, leaving behind more open and active sites on each humic molecule, allowing Monty's humic to attract and bond to a whole host of elements and serve as an organic catalyst. That is, they make things happen, whether they're applied to row crops, produce farms, or hay meadows. Take just a second to see what happens when a leading competitor's dry humic material is added to water, compared to the dry form of Monty's activated humic. Did you notice how most of the competing product just fell to the bottom and little, if any, dispersed? But Monty's activated humic dissolves quickly to penetrate through your soil profile and go to work rapidly. Even after several days, the competition's product never dissolved. That is one of the differences that Monty's activated humic makes and what makes it so effective, even at comparatively lower application rates. Powered by these humics, Monty's liquid carbon is an OMRI-listed organic soil conditioner, providing for nutrient management, improvement to organic matter, moisture management in the soil, and serving as a food source for microbes. It can be used to help address your toughest soil-related problems. It can even be sprayed on compost and manures to help speed the breakdown of organic matter. For more on this, let's learn how Monty's liquid carbon can benefit you this season as we return to the studio with certified crop advisors Joe Dedman and Gary Coughlin. For Monty's Plant Food Company, I'm Price Allen.
And Gary will join us a bit later, so we talk more about humics tonight. If you're just joining us, Monty's Plant Food with us here on RFD-TV Live. Monty's talks a lot about humics and humic technology. Joe, let's bring our audience along. We saw a great video, but perhaps in your words, what is humics?
You know, that's a buzzword in the industry today. A lot of farmers may not really understand what all humics do in the soil, but especially in the soil, they're dealing with humics all the time, and it originates from organic matter. Lots of farms will have varying degrees of organic matter, and when they go out and farm in the spring, they are tilling the soil or they're putting other things on the soil, and then that is converted by a process called humification, and that has to do with the microbes in the soil that actually change this organic matter into a humus, which is a more rich catalyst in the soil that actually holds more water, holds more nutrients, and then processes more things that they're putting on. And this humification is done through that process of organisms in the soil into humics and fulvic acids. And when that happens, then the soil is now generated off of the microbiology to actually generate more humus, and that is the life beat, so to speak, or the heartbeat of the soil when we have these major constituents in the soil that are this conversion of organic matter, as well as our product helps to build organic matter in the soil, which is very crucial and essential for holding moisture and holding nutrients that farmers need to feed their crops.
And I guess, is it safe to say that through the years, the humics have broken down, or they're not evident at all, and our soils, even though they look, quote, normal, are not?
Yeah, and that's happened through years of different tillage practices or farming practices that farmers have dealt with. When they put on fertilizers every spring, they're throwing on lots of salts, different kinds of salts that exist in different kinds of fertilizer. And that affects the ability of that ecosystem to break down that organic matter and turn it into that humus, which is very vital for all of that soil biology to exist upon.
Yeah. Doug, humics aren't unique to Monty's Plant Food, but what I would say, what makes Monty's humics different?
Well, a little bit in the video talked about how Monty's has proprietary technology within the humics, and that's really the thing that we're blessed to have that sets us apart, is the proprietary technology in the product and the cleaning process. And what that does for us is it makes the product more purified and more activated, gives us the ideal humic to fulvic ratio, and when we have that, that's going to give us an opportunity to really maximize yield, to get the most potential out of the crop and out of the soils as you get those ratios correct. As a company, we understand that getting that right concentration of humics maximizes the biological stimulation, and this is just a really competitive advantage to our products over a lot of the other ones out there. They just don't do the research. They just aren't able to deliver like our products will. And the other thing is the products are just available immediately into the soil. So even our dry carbon itself is more available than the competitor's product. So just a little bit of moisture in that product, and it's ready to go.
Lets the soil do, if I'm hearing you, naturally what it was meant to do all along, right?
Yes.
That's right.
And Joe, you have a demonstration. We saw a little bit of this in the video too, but you're going to do it for us tonight here in studio.
We did. We saw that in the video that they were doing it, but I did want to do it live so the viewers can see what we're doing. And this product exists on the marketplace today. It's a dry, ground up brown coal. It's a humic product. And then we take really the same product and ground it up, but we activate it through our proprietary technology. And that's what the farmer needs, is something that will go to work immediately and do this catalyst work in the soil. So this is what you're seeing in front of you, is the difference between our product and the leading competitors on the marketplace. Is even though they have a humic, it does not go to work right away. And so farmers need something to go to work immediately to help the soil biology to kick it into high gear to feed their crops.
And why is that important to producers, to have it be so immediate?
Well, it's very important because they're going out in the spring of the year and they're putting on a lot of fertilizers, they're putting on chemicals, they're putting on lots of things to produce their crops. If they could put on one product that make everything they put on work better, it would be this. It would be Monty's activated humic technology.
That's right.
Because it will jumpstart everything they're doing in the springtime to make it work so much better throughout the season. So one of the things that we do, we promote that they go out and really treat it in the fall, because fall will give them more time to activate this in the soil. Then when they come to spring, they're ready to go when they plant. But lots of farmers, just like tonight, that are being introduced to it, well, it's not too late. They do it this spring and it will still start to work just as fast as they saw it do right here in the soil. As soon as it contacts moisture, it will start to work and generating this biology in the soil to make a difference in their crop yields.
Not fertilizer.
No.
Plant food.
It's plant food, yeah.
And so, again, so just to go over it, make sure that the viewers are following along, how does the humic technology help farmers actually increase their yields?
Well, it's something that they're not currently doing, because right now they're just putting on fertilizers, and really it's the biology in the soil that makes fertilizers work. So if you have a very slack or a small amount of biology in your soil, you're not going to get real good efficiency out of your fertilizers that you're putting on. So what we're doing with this product is creating an environment that the biology will just accelerate and explode, have more population, and to do what the farmer wants it to do, and that is to break down those fertilizers into a form that the plant can now take up and utilize. So we've increased the efficiency of what he is currently doing in his farming program.
Things like water retention, and you mentioned seed germination earlier.
Yeah, incredible what the product can do, because we're stimulating that activity. We're actually help with breaking up of compacted soil. And you know, with the drought situation last year, farmers are going to encounter a tremendous amount of compacted soils this year, coming out of that dry spell last year. And what are they going to do to loosen that all up and generate that soil back to what it used to be? It takes products like our product to do that. And so it's that, and then this product acts as a catalyst to help those micronutrients and nutrients that in the soil become a relationship for the soil and the plant to work together to take up those nutrients. It helps with this water retention, because the product carries a negative polarity as well as some positive polarity, which actually helps water molecules hold tighter around some of the soil colloids. And what we've seen already over the last many years is we do increase seed germination. Well, that's part of what you're on your way to getting the higher yields, is I need consistent and good germination. And then by all means, we help to improve the breakdown of all those residues that farmer has out there, the corn stubble, the soybean stubble, the wheat straw, or whatever it is that he has, that needs to break down rapidly so that he can get nutrients out of that to feed the crop.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very important.
And Doug, you've seen, or you at the company have seen farmers, you have researchers who collaborate and do work with you and to give, and have seen some great results in the field. Tell us about that.
That's right. We've seen tremendous results on all different types of crops. And we always like to get a lot of feedback on that and try to let neighbors know what's going on, that type of thing. One of the things that we've done is we've worked with a group in Southern Illinois, and we do have a video to kind of demonstrate a little bit about what he's doing there in his operation. And I think that what viewers will see is that there's a lot of different ways to use this product. You're not just stuck with one particular way to apply this product. And in this particular video, Christian Card uses this product in a liquid form, but applies it with anhydrous ammonia. And when you get into the, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, that's very interesting when you said that earlier today.
Yes, and we were talking about that. It's a unique process because when you get into the flat, kind of the corn belt, anhydrous ammonia is much more prevalent, whereas 28 may be the case in other parts of the country. But anhydrous presents a lot of challenges to the soil biology because it really sterilizes the soil as it's applied. By using the carbon product, he's able to kind of achieve a saving effect of that biology in the soil right there.
All right, let's take a look. Let's go to Southern Illinois.
My name is Christian Karg. I farm in Southern Illinois. I farm with my father. We farm about 3,500 acres. We grow white corn, soybeans, and milo, and a little bit of wheat. The reason we started with Monty's is because we were trying to get a better yield with the high grain prices, and with the prices as high as they are, you can put quite a bit more money into a crop and still make a good return. We've been using Monty's for about 3 or 4 years now. We applied the 215-15 with the planter while we're planting in furrow and seeing really good results. And then we also use the liquid carbon with the chisel plow with a sidekick with the anhydrous. And we've noticed it's as good, or maybe probably better than N-Serve, because you're not just stabilizing your nitrogen, but you're also getting the extra benefits by not killing the bacterial in your soil. The results with our wheat that we have seen is it's greener and a better root structure and a little higher test weight. What we've also seen with the Monty's is the evener stand. What I like about Monty's is the very low salt content, so if you spill it on your equipment, you're not getting it rusty. I would highly recommend to use the Monty's products, especially for a corn starter and for wheat.
Great, boys, can be not too soon to get back to that planting,
right,
seeing that dirt and clear skies and all the snow and summer or the winter past. Joe, just real quick, anything that you want to make sure the viewers didn't miss in Christian's video there?
Well, Christian really mentioned exactly what we just been talking about. He talked about the soil biology, and he talked about using our liquid carbon behind anhydrous and stabilizing not only the nitrogen, but helping to revive that biology that's in the soil, because anhydrous, even though it's a cheap form of nitrogen, does sterilize the soil as it goes through it. So you want to regenerate that biology as fast as you can. And then he mentioned several other crops that he used it on as well. So Christian has begun to see how that our carbon really does benefit.
Very good. And viewers, coming up here after the break, we're going to take our first break here. We'll be talking more about humics and to hear from farmers' harvesting results. Joe, you're going to be leaving, but you'll be coming back. And Doug, you will not be. I want to make sure you have a couple seconds here for any closing thoughts. Great to have you here again.
Thanks, great to be here.
And what we'd like to leave with our viewers.
Sure. I'd say that one of the questions I get the most is how do I use it? And along the lines with what Christian was saying, anytime you're using nitrogen, is a great opportunity to use the Monty's carbon products. And also coming up, guys are thinking about wheat and getting it on the wheat, increasing the tillering and that kind of thing. So look at the products for the spring coming up on the side dressing wheat as well.
Yeah, not too late.
That's right.
Very good. Good to have you back here.
Thanks.
We'll see you again soon. All right. We'll be right back with 2 more panelists from Monty's Plant Food as RFD-TV Live continues right here on Rural America's most important network.
Take control with AgriHance. Maximize your yields with the versatility and control of AgriHance S. AgriHance S combines the power of a pop-up with the improvements of a soil conditioner, helping crops emerge quickly and develop a robust root system. The unique tank mix flexibility boosts performance at germination for one-pass application, even in cool, damp soil. Maximize your yields. Call, click, or talk to your dealer today and take control with AgriHance.
This month on AARP Live, worried about how your taxes will be affected by the fiscal fix? AARP's tax aid volunteers can help you figure it out. Do your loved ones need more help? AARP's got resources to assist you with caregiving challenges. And heating bills burning up your wallet? Find out how AARP is working to help families save money. Watch AARP Live on RFD-TV, January 17th, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, 8 Mountain, 7 Pacific.
Beyond Rodeo is an exciting program hosted by Hall of Fame rodeo announcer Hadley Barrett and country entertainer Susie Dobbs. This program brings the fastest growing extreme sport to the fans by interviewing your favorite rodeo cowboys or cowgirls, and you'll hear their heartfelt stories from behind the chutes. Beyond Rodeo takes to the road and visits some of America's favorite rodeo locations and brings to life the story behind the rider. So saddle up and tune in to Beyond Rodeo right here on RFD-TV.
Take control with AgriHance. Maximize your yields with the versatility and control of AgriHance S. AgriHance S combines the power of a pop-up with the improvements of a soil conditioner, helping crops emerge quickly and develop a robust root system. The unique tank mix flexibility boosts performance at germination for one-pass application, even in cool, damp soil. Maximize your yields. Call, click, or talk to your dealer today and take control with AgriHance.
Welcome back to RFD-TV Live. I'm Mark Oppold. Joining me tonight, Monty's Plant Food, joining us for the first time in our new year. Great to have them here. And two new guests with me in studio. Gary Coughlin is another Monty's certified crop advisors. Been on the program before, as has Dan Marley, Midwest Territory Manager. Welcome back to the both of you, you gentlemen as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mark.
Good to have you here.
Back. Great to be back.
And just like we did with Joe and Doug, people are watching maybe for the first time. Gary, your background, where's home? Kentucky, I guess, is your original home, right?
Yes. I grew up in northeastern Kentucky on a family farm. We raised burley tobacco, and my father had a small dairy. Of course, along with the dairy, we had to raise some corn, had to raise some hay for that. Had the opportunity to go to the University of Kentucky and got my degree in agronomy. Graduated from there, went to work for a local cooperative, Joe mentioned, Southern States. It's on the East Coast and Southeast. Worked for them for 40 years, and I retired and took off a year and have been working for Monty's ever since. Joe and I kind of coordinate things on their research farm and also do some education, some training. And it's been a great position for me because I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and not only that, I've learned a lot.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, every time you come, all of you, we learn a lot here too, and really, you know, maybe a quick history. The Monty's Plant Food started way back with roses and gardens.
Yes. Monty Justice. Monty obviously was a real person, and that was his passion, was roses. And he, as he told the story, he just started kind of mixing this up more or less in a big pot or a wash tub or something like that. And
quite a story.
And soon learned how to put it all together using Humics, and it's just gone from there.
And that's our topic. We're going to get right back to that. But Dan, let's talk about your background. Where is home for you originally?
I grew up in north central Indiana, a small community called Fairmount, Indiana, and born and raised there. Graduated from Indiana University, spent some time in the Indianapolis area, and then down in Louisville, where I ended up getting on with Monty's Plant Food. That was about 9 years ago when I joined Monty's. Worked in their office down there for several years. About 4 years ago, then, I moved back to north central Indiana, where I currently reside, working with Monty's, calling on parts of Indiana, parts of Ohio, southern Michigan, even into Wisconsin, some of northern Illinois. So working with a variety of crops from everything corn, soybeans, wheat, hay, and forages, but also specialty crops, everything from tomatoes, commercial green beans, cranberries. So a lot of variety. So it's a fun place to work and a good organization to be a part of.
Absolutely, and that you make a good point there, viewers. As we later in the program open up our telephone lines, we're not talking just about corn or wheat, cotton. Gary just mentions several different specialty crops as well. So questions you might have later when we open our phone lines, we'd like to hear from you as well. And Joe, before going to break, Gary, rather, we were talking about one question that farmers ask quite often is, well, when can I start to see results?
Okay.
What would you say to them?
Well, if you apply Monty's liquid carbon, or depending upon where we're registered, it might be Monty's liquid humic. As soon as you put the liquid formulation on, Mark, it starts working immediately. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, then Monty's also has a granular product, a dry product called dry carbon that was formulated to be mixed with granular fertilizers and applied to the soil. Now, it will start working just as soon as it receives enough moisture to dissolve it. Okay? So Joe talked earlier about the biology in the soil, and that's what we're all about. That's what we're trying to do. We've got all kinds of different bacteria in the soil, fungi, algae, protozoa, and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So our goal is to increase that microbial population. And biology is the key, and that's what Monty's liquid carbon can help do. So the question then becomes, if I go out and I spend this money to do that, am I going to get a return on my investment?
Sure, yeah.
And obviously that's a question that needs to be asked. But I don't think anybody can question the fact that if you can improve your soil and stimulate your plant, you're going a long way toward increasing the yield of any crop. And as Dan mentioned, any crop we're putting it on, Dan.
Yes, absolutely.
So again, biology is the key. And as the saying goes, if we'll feed our soil and improve it, then that increased soil health is going to feed the crop.
Yeah, I like that when I saw that the first time. That makes a lot of sense, kind of puts it all in perspective. Dan, I know one of the things that can be confusing to people that follow this and know what we're talking about and making plans for spring, for example, are the percentages that are listed some of these products. And maybe you could help them out there. What do they mean? What do those percentages mean?
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things, Mark, about different products is that different suppliers right now use different ways to measure the amount of humic in that product, because right now there is no industry standard, set industry standard for testing humics to determine exactly what the percentage is. So different companies and different suppliers use different methods. We use the California Department of Food and Agricultural method, which we believe is one of the most strict and most scrutinous methods to really get at the heart of how much of that humic is actually available pretty much immediately, looks at availability, looks at how soluble that product is. So by looking at different percentages, sometimes looking at competitors' products labels versus the Monty's, when they're using a different method, it may yield a higher humic content, which may or may not be available for the soil or the plant to take in and utilize right away. Mm-hmm. So some of those competitors' products with those higher percentages may be insoluble and inactive. So, for example, looking at Monty's label, most of the time people will say, wow, you have very little humic in there, just looking at, say, a 2% humic in most of the Monty's products, where some other products you may see, even a 50 or a 70% humic. But because there is no industry standard, we are probably going to act as well, if not perform better than those other products, even though it looks like there's more in the label. And that gets back to that proprietary humic technology that we have and the cleanliness of the humic, to where we strip that humic, clean that humic more readily so that it has more attachment sites and can go to work and is more readily activated.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. In
Mark,
fact,
can I make a comment on that?
Go. You bet, Gary.
Just follow up with Dan. Regardless of what a label says on the humic content, the percentage, if it's not been activated, Dan, and made soluble, it still does not have anywhere near close to what the Monty's is going to do.
It's going to sit on the top of that glass that Joe, when he poured that in there, it just sat on the top, whereas yours was almost immediately absorbed. If you want to call it
takes forever for it to break down. The competitor's product to where you do get some value out of it.
Very good. And by the way, if you don't have that moisture right away that you need, then the Monty's, your humic will be in the soil and be available, and when that moisture does arrive.
Exactly right.
And we also have a liquid carbon as well, which is actually what we sell the most of. So regardless of whether you buy our liquid carbon, which is going to be pretty much immediately soluble and active, but obviously, as Joe's experiment showed, the dry is very, very soluble as well.
Very good. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about using Monty's as a part of a larger program. Here again, another producer who has incorporated the Monty's program. Some excellent results on his farm, this one in Arkansas. By the way, we're going to learn about using Monty's on this product, on this farm, with peanuts, corn, cotton, and wheat on his farm in Arkansas.
Michael Gray, farm in Woodruff County in eastern Arkansas, south of Augusta. Farm about 5,000 acres of row crop and about 300 acres of commercial hay production. Neighbor down the road who always makes exceptional yields, and I kind of pay attention, and he mentioned Monty's to me, and I used a little bit of it on wheat a couple of years ago, and really went full scale in my corn crop this year with their Calcium Plus and seed starter fertilizer, and then on my peanuts really went a full-scale program of their AgriHance products, AgriHance B, AgriHance R. We started out with the half gallon of Calcium Plus to put under it. Can definitely see some marked peanut yields from the use of those products. Where I did some split trials, I'd say somewhere between 200 and 300 pounds difference. Definitely saw some difference in my corn. The seed starter, uniform stand, got off to a great start. Corn yields were up this year, but I attribute my higher yields to the use of that product plus the use of Calcium Plus underneath. Some of the ground, a little bit heavier ground, the fertilizer and stuff tied up a little bit more. I could see a difference this year after 2 years of putting the Calcium Plus on that ground. I think one of the easily recognizable effects of the product is the health of the plant, and maybe especially in starting, the quick start the plant seems to have coming out of the ground. You can definitely see a difference in root mass, but just the visual across the field of the health of the plant from a trial to not is something I would definitely recommend. In our cotton operation, you could really equate it with the number of squares in the plants where we use the AgriHance R product where we didn't. I did not have near the disease pressure in peanuts that I anticipated. And I would say that has to have a direct correlation to the health of the plant and how fast it was growing and how it was able to deal with somewhat adverse conditions this year. The Monty's products versus some of the other micronutrient products out there were a lot easier to tank mix, a lot easier to handle, not a lot of residue problems, no gumming up in our tanks. Spray rig operator never complained about pouring those in. Sometimes it gets pretty upset when I start mixing some of those concoctions. I think definitely with any product like this, if you put it on every acre you have, you'll never understand the full effect. So I think anybody starting out, never going to really believe in it unless you see the effects yourself. So take an 80-acre field and put 40 of it in it and be able to tell the difference yourself. And I think after you do that and you can see the result, then you have a little more confidence in putting it on a full-scale application.
Quite an operation there. Gary, any thoughts, follow up to what we've seen there, and quite a testimonial for you folks.
That was fantastic. I thought it was interesting that in his final comments, he was suggesting to other producers, just try it. And that's all Monty's has ever said. Just try it if you've never used it before and become familiar with it. And we keep telling everybody, take a field and just split it so you see for yourself. But he also mentioned the fact that he was raising corn and peanuts and I think cotton for the first time.
Yeah, first time.
And he made the comment on his peanuts that he had increased his yield 200 to 300 pounds by using that. But one of the big things was he's using a program. He was using the Monty's liquid carbon on his soil, and then he also talked about using Monty's 215-15 at the reproductive stage, which is a foliar plant food. And he said that he noticed healthier plants, he noticed a larger root mass, and I believe he said that he had less disease problems on his cotton.
He did say, yeah, very. And you wouldn't, when you talk about Arkansas, you don't think of peanuts
right.
in Arkansas, and you can see even from the video some of the lush, I guess you call it that.
Well, they were loaded with peanuts.
Yeah, loaded. Absolutely. Now, when do you recommend producers that are watching that might be trying for the first time, when do you recommend that when they apply and how many times a year?
Okay. Well, first of all, Monty's products are management tools. Just like a farmer going out and soil testing, that's a management tool. The use of, or the purchase of technology traits for his crops, that's a management tool. Using GPS on his equipment for planting or harvesting, those are all management tools. And that's how we try to position Monty's products on there. When we put them on the soil, as we mentioned earlier, they start working continuously.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Now, the question then becomes is how often do we do it? And what we have to look at there is what are we starting with? Are we working with a sandy soil? Are we working with a high CEC heavy clay soil? Because it's going to take longer to do something in that high CEC soil.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other thing is, what's the health of that soil? Okay? So have we been getting the production off that field that we wanted? And if we are not, then we have to take a serious look about using the product more aggressively. Now, what's a number? I don't know what that number is, other than I would suggest to everybody, if you're having problems with the field, is that you probably need to use it twice a year, at least 2 years. Then do some soil testing and see how your soils have improved, and then maybe back off one time a year or so. Frequent use is going to increase the availability of this. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But one of the big things is, Mark, we've got to understand that applying liquid carbon or liquid humic acts as a major catalyst for everything that you're going to do out there.
Yeah.
And again, we keep going back to improving the health of the soil through this microbiology of the bacteria and everything else that's out there.
The other thing you said is, and I think that it needs to be repeated, is using it multiple years. Mm-hmm. You can't go out and take a field, cut it in half this 2013 and say, well, I didn't see what I thought I'd see, so maybe it's not for me, maybe that I didn't do it right or whatever. I mean, but it's part of building best soil back up, am I right? And that takes a couple of seasons to start that microbial activity to be active again.
Yeah, and remember we said it starts working as soon as you put it on the soil. Now, the ideal time to have started for this year was to have done it in the fall, because then right after harvest, because then you had that time period, late fall, early winter, up to cropping. For anybody that didn't get that done, you can still do it right now if you can get in your fields. You've just lost a little time. But even if you don't get it done now, then the next opportunity is right before planting. If you're in a no-till situation, put it in with your liquid nitrogen or your burn down. And if you're conventional tilling, put it in with possibly nitrogen and your herbicides, and you'll still start seeing some benefit over the summer.
All right, very good. We're with our friends from Monty's Plant Food tonight on RFD-TV Live. Let's hear from another of Monty's dealers, this one from Illinois, who has also seen success using the program.
My name is Dale Brookins, and I'm an area manager for Southern FS. I've been in the Southern Illinois part of the country here, and I've been with the company around 28 years. The predominant product we've been using on an extensive basis has been the Monty's liquid humic, which we've been using extensively on wheat. We're actually using liquid humic on two different crops in our area. We use it predominantly on wheat, but we've also been using it on soybeans also. The reason we started using the liquid humic is because we have a large amount of wheat acres in our area, and we're broadcasting liquid 32 over the top of wheat. And at that time, we was getting a severe burn on our wheat when we were spraying herbicides and also the 32% at the same time. We were seeing severe burns. So that's the time we started looking at other products. And the one we chose was Monty's. The very first year we used it was on a few acres, and it did really well. So the next year, which had been this past spring, early spring, we decided to use it on that. And at that time, we seen no burn on wheat from applying this product with herbicides and the 32 at the same time. I think some of the advantage of it, the product's easy to handle, and we can handle that in many different forms. We handle it in 2.5 gallon containers, or we handle that in mini bulk. So the product's easy to handle. It mixes well. We don't have any type of problems when we mix it with any type of herbicide or liquid fertilizer. We never have any types of problems with that. So from a retailer's point of view, that's pretty handy that we don't have to have those type of problems. I think you should feel relaxed and have some assurance if you're going to use the Monty's liquid humic, because we've seen it used the past 2 or 3 years, and we've used it on several thousands of acres, and we've seen excellent results. Plant health, we've seen it when we've had extra increase in bushels. We've seen no trouble with mixing it, contamination problems, those types. And it's also a product that's very easy to use. On wheat alone, we're looking on a return on investment. We're spending around 14 or 15 bucks an acre, and we're getting around about $84 in return for that. So I'd say that's a pretty good return on your investment any day. We've used a couple different of their products in the past for some foliar treatment, which was a 215-15 and an 8-16-8, and we've had excellent results with this. But we've heard they've got a new product come out, which is AgriHance, and we're looking forward to using that in the future.
And we will talk about AgriHance here a little bit. But Gary, we talked a little bit earlier about humics and how they improve microbial activity in the soil. Again, tell us how that works.
Well, Mark, if we look at our soil, we've got many species of just bacteria in the soil. But in addition to that, we've also got the algae, the protozoa, the actinomyces, and many other microbes out there in the soil. And each one of them has their own specific function in the soil. And just like if we look at the old chart about nutrient uptake and how pH affects it, well, it's kind of the same way with microbial activity. That ideal pH for microbial activity is 6.4, 6.5. Now, we can't see these microbes in the soil. But I have read that if we had a healthy soil and we take the top 2 inches out of an acre and we can suck up all the microbes in that soil, that it would equate somewhere close to 2,000 pounds in an acre.
And then you said that, wow.
And I've also read that if you could take 1 tablespoon of soil out of the top inch and it was a healthy soil, that you'd have well over 1 million microbes of just bacteria. So that's how critical this microbial life is to your soil.
Dan, anything to add to that as far as the biology that we're talking about here?
Yeah, and absolutely. And looking at that next slide about the soil biology, I mean, we need to get back to thinking about our soils being a living, breathing substance instead of just thinking about it being dead dirt. It's not dead at all. If you have a healthy soil, there's going to be a lot of life there. So the more biology we can get back into that soil, that's going to lead both to the healthier soil, which is going to lead eventually to that higher yield potential. The humic and the microbial activity in the soil also stimulates that microbial metabolism and the nutrient uptake. So it's basically encouraging those microbes to multiply even quicker than they would normally, which is increasing the nutrient uptake into the plant itself. And basically by doing that, we're trying to create the perfect environment around that root mass for that plant so that the biology can flourish, ultimately leading to what we're all after is higher and better yield out of that crop.
Absolutely. And in fact, the activity is very important to soil and produces the results above ground too. Here's another testimonial from one of the agronomists in this one from North Carolina.
My name is Ron Perry. I'm an agronomist for Southern States Cooperative. I've been working for Southern States almost 25 years now. I currently serve central and eastern North Carolina and a little bit of South Carolina. We're adding Monty's products as a recommendation to our growers because we feel like it is adding benefit to our growers. It's making them money. It's very effective. We've seen positive responses in the amount of tillers that are produced. We've seen positive responses in the growth of the plant, the greenness and healthiness of the plant. We've seen mitigation of command damage in wheat. We've seen mitigation of the burn that UAN sometimes causes on wheat as well. We've seen increased growth, improved growth, and increased tillering, which of course is a critical component of yield. Some of the other successes that we've seen with Monty's products are we've seen increased growth in tobacco. We've seen a positive response also in corn. It mixes well and it stays in solution. Where we've had a problem with soil compaction and we have applied Monty's liquid carbon, we have seen a positive response in decreasing soil compaction. Now, people have to remember this is not an overnight fix. It takes a little while, so they need to be patient. We need to have moisture and we need some time, but it does work. I've seen it work, and it will help you if you've got a compacted soil. Our growers see an excellent return on their investment with Monty's products.
Again, that from North Carolina. Dan, any additional thoughts there after watching that?
Just a couple things that Ron mentioned in his video, as well as Dale mentioned in the previous video, is buffering the burn that we see sometimes on wheat and other crops when we're trying to spray 28 or 32 or UAN or whatever form of nitrogen that you use on those crops in your area. That humic is a natural buffer which helps alleviate and mitigate that burn. So that's another side benefit. Soil compaction, that's the other thing that Ron talked about quite a bit. And like he said, he has seen it work, and that's kind of what it gets back to, is if you're a farmer thinking about maybe trying a Monty's product, I would encourage you to try the Monty's liquid carbon and see what it would do on your farm.
This may be kind of closing comments. Gary, you're going to stay with us. We'll take our last break, but you're going to be leaving us here, Dan. Any additional comments from there to leave with viewers?
Yeah, I would just encourage farmers again to, in addition to thinking about nutrient values in your soils, which are obviously very, very important, think about that soil being a living, breathing medium again to encourage the growth and yield of that crop.
Very good. Good to see you again.
Okay.
And
thank you,
well
Mark.
done. Thank you very much, Dan. And Gary will be staying with us, and we'll be opening up our telephone lines. Joe Dedman back with us, joining our panel after the break. Viewers, we're opening our phone lines for you now. Lots of questions. I know you have them. We'll get as many as we can in. 877-731-6733. 877-731-6733. Lines open now. You're watching RFD-TV Live with Monty's Plant Food right here on Rural America's most important network.
Take control with AgriHance. Maximize your yields with the versatility and control of AgriHance S. AgriHance S combines the power of a pop-up with the improvements of a soil conditioner, helping crops emerge quickly and develop a robust root system. The unique tank mix flexibility boosts performance at germination for one-pass application, even in cool, damp soil. Maximize your yields. Call, click, or talk to your dealer today and take control with AgriHance.
Rural Life on RFD-TV presents National Tractor Pullers Association. This is a fast-paced program that entertains and informs viewers about a whole other world of motorsports, with jaw-dropping displays of extreme horsepower at its finest, showing on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. Come join RFD-TV as we showcase the ultimate test of tractor pulling best. National Tractor Pullers Association, Tuesday nights, all part of Rural Life on RFD-TV.
Conservation of our rural land provides the food, fiber, clean and abundant water, healthy wildlife, and other benefits we depend upon every day. Join host Dr. Larry Butler every Tuesday as he travels the countryside to bring you conservation stories from America's farmers and ranchers, as well as management tips from out on the land, only on RFD-TV.
Take control with AgriHance. Maximize your yields with the versatility and control of AgriHance S. AgriHance S combines the power of a pop-up with the improvements of a soil conditioner, helping crops emerge quickly and develop a robust root system. The unique tank mix flexibility boosts performance at germination for one-pass application, even in cool, damp soil. Maximize your yields. Call, click, or talk to your dealer today and take control with AgriHance.
Welcome back to RFD-TV Live. We're about ready to get to your phone calls and questions and look forward to hearing from you. Telephone lines are open now, 877-731-6733. Welcoming our friends from Monty's Plant Food here on our program tonight. And we welcome Joe Dedman back with us. A lot of questions, Gary, to you. Actually, the first question going to you, a real tough, goes without saying, a tough growing year. Hope we don't have another one like that for a lot of reasons. But what would you recommend for producers as they start looking ahead to spring and the planting season?
Well, Mark, it was a tough one.
Oh,
it was pretty much across the whole country, I think. But we would always recommend to any producer is to soil test. How do you know what you're dealing with unless you know what's in your soil? Hopefully by now they've got all their seed purchased with the proper tech fees that they wanted to use, and I think that that's critical. Be smart in purchasing your fertilizer and to make sure you're getting what you need to put down on that. The other thing we think we need to take a look at is that we've devoted the whole show to Monty's Humics and what all this humic material can do to your soil and how important it is, Joe, for all the microbiology, but also the soil compaction and increase in germination and all that type thing.
Right.
So we would encourage you to use the liquid carbon, and for those fellows who can and will, go out and retrofit their planters to put on a liquid attachment to be able to put a product in the row on the seed. And you can do that with Monty's products, even on soybeans. So the product we would suggest that you use as a starter is a product called AgriHance S. And we've already heard about increasing the root mass, increasing the germination rate, the health of the plant, and all that type thing. So, Joe, maybe can I kick it to you and you address this situation and what AgriHance is all about?
Yeah, I'd be glad to, Gary. We've had really tremendous success with our AgriHance S product. I know we launched it here on RFD-TV.
You sure did.
Last spring. And what we found out, even in this tough growing season that we just went through, is some of the farmers that went out and tried our product, even it may have been on some small acres, but because they started their crop off with this product, which creates a zone in that seed zone that is so beneficial to the biology of the soil, to the germination of the seed, to jump starting that seed out of the ground so much faster, those farmers saw yield advantages where nobody else did, especially in the dry season. And so this product has been a tremendous advantage over what they've been doing in the past. And Gary mentioned about equipping their planters. Well, Monty's also introduced a program that would give them a rebate back toward the purchase of modifying their equipment so they could put it in the row on the seed, and that's where it makes all the difference.
Okay. We have some callers on the line. We're going to go to Illinois first for our first caller. Mark, thank you for calling. Your question now for our panel.
Yes, I was curious, is this product acceptable for organic farmers? I'm not organic, but is it acceptable for organic farmers to use? Can they use it on their corn, soybeans, wheat, alfalfa, and all that?
The liquid carbon, the liquid humic, the dry carbon product, our dry humic product is all organic and is OMRI certified. But the rest of our products have a little different mixture in it, and they are not registered as organic.
All right.
And by that, we're talking about basically the plant foods.
Yes.
Very good. To Oklahoma. Kevin, thank you for calling, and welcome to RFD-TV Live with our friends from Monty's.
Yes, can this product be applied through center pivot irrigation onto alfalfa? And if so, would you want to do that every cutting, or what would be the time for application on that?
Yes, any of the products that we have mentioned here on the program, including the AgriHance products, can be applied through center pivots, drip lines, drip systems, any way that you can put it on. And I definitely would apply it again after each cutting But remember, our product is most of the time taken up through the foliage, so you want regrowth, probably at least 3 inches, 4 inches tall, to allow that to be taken in through the leaf surface, and then that is what takes it down to the root systems.
Joe, tell our viewers, as we wait for callers coming in here with our minutes remaining, where they can get information about the products, about Monty's products.
Well, we just launched a brand new website. In fact, we encourage all of our viewers to go check out our brand new website. But they can get the product through some of our local co-op systems. In the Southeast, we have Southern States Cooperative. In the Midwest, we go through Growmark, a corporation, and then also through Missouri Farmers Association. And then we also are affiliated with many independent dealers. I know on one of our other programs we mentioned Jewel Grain up in the Ohio area, and so we go in with dealers like that, independent dealers, but they can find all of these dealers and dealers in their area by going on our brand new website, which we just actually finished up last week, or have launched it this week, and are very, very proud of it. That viewers will be able to find lots of information on it.
And a dealer near them.
And a dealer near them, absolutely.
Let's go to Georgia. We're just going to try to squeeze in one more call. This is Delbert. Delbert, you made it. You're our last caller tonight. Do your question.
Yes, sir. I was wondering, I plant about an acre and a half garden every year. And I live on Sand Mountain. My soil's kind of sandy and all. Will this work good, say, in Georgia for planting a garden? With corn, green beans, cabbage, tomatoes, onions, peppers?
Delbert, the answer to that is definitely yes. We heard Dan talk about all the crops that he has worked with and whatnot, but remember what Joe said earlier, and that is about the liquid humic, liquid carbon being able to affect the soil retention in your soil. And also, it will help increase the germination of the seed when you plant it, and it will also help give you a better root mass and a healthier plant. So the answer is definitely yes. And you would apply that just like you would, Delbert, on the field crops, fall of the year, the spring of the year, and probably in your case on real sandy soils, use it in the spring and the fall.
We have about a minute to go. Real quick comments before we close out. Joe, a couple thoughts.
Well, again, we're just introducing our product to the audience. We've hoped tonight we've educated them about Humics. And again, it's many times like the video said, just try it, split a field, just try our product and see what they see.
Quick comment from you, Gary.
I've spent a whole lot of time talking about the microbiology and the health of your soil. And I'm not really sure we're paying as much attention to that, so I would challenge our producers to do that. And just remember that biology is the key.
Very good. Good to see you both again. Yes, you coming back here. We're going to talk about that right now. In case you were not able to get through tonight, we had a lot of information to get to you. Folks at Monty's will be manning their telephones tonight until 10 o'clock Eastern Time. You can reach them at the number on the screen, 800-978-6342. Again, toll free tonight, 800-978-6342. We hope you learned a lot tonight about Humics and how they can increase your yields. For more information, you can go to Monty's. Their new website that Joe talked about, montysplantfood.com, or again, call the number at Monty's, 800-978-6342. A reminder, Monty's will return to RFD-TV Live Monday, March 11th. We'll be that much closer to the planting season. Thanks for joining us tonight. From all of us at RFD